Testing. Okay. Well, today I'm going to go through this session real quick of Better Off Blind Window, which is the next release to come out May 30th, next Friday, a week from today. And it's been a while since I've streamed. I've been busy. About to switch my day job to another job for money reasons. And stepdaughter's graduating today, and I got a text. It's just been really busy, and so I haven't been streaming. But I'm gonna go ahead and stream this today, and then hop off here real quick. I'm going to change my block size so I can hopefully have the mastering chain on for this, or I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. See if I can change that block size to a workable. Let's go to. Oh yeah, nope, it's good. It switched over. We're still good. Okay. All right, I'm gonna hit play. Hope for the best. Maybe. Come on now. There we go. Man, that is looking pretty busy. Hopefully it doesn't drop out. I'm gonna go ahead and shut up and hit play. Enjoy. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's not gonna run smoothly that way. So we're gonna do it without the final mastering chain on, which is somewhat different, but it'll still be good. All right, here we go.
Keep burning down every bridge I said.
And that concludes the sneak peek of the song to come out May 30th for Better Off Blind, Window, featuring Tara Jackson. I had a video of doing some mixing for this a couple months back, and we had to pause and delay and figure out scheduling that worked for everybody to get her over here and for her to do the accompaniment and background type vocals. It just took a while for us to be able to line that up, so that's the reason for the delay. And then there were some mixing delays. There's just slight nuances to make everybody happy involved. But yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty good production. Tara was somebody I went to junior high and I think maybe the first year of high school with before she went to a different school. And she didn't live too far from me growing up. And she came over and recorded vocals for me and my buddy's song. It was, we're talking 20 years ago. She came over and did some vocal stuff for us. So she was interested in coming over here and doing vocals for this. Oh, look, Norton's trying to sell me shit. Norton antivirus annoys me anymore. It's still good, but it's just they try to nickel and dime you for everything, and then non-stop pop-ups. I kind of want to uninstall it and go a different direction for my antivirus on my Windows machine, which I hope to replace this year. But anyhow, back to the song. As you see, there's a lot of tracks we didn't even use, a lot of vocal takes and different harmonies that just didn't quite work. I actually had to wait for some extra harmonies from Scott to come my way on the chorus as well to implement in. So yeah, we had some delays and just trying to fine tweak it and before we put it out into the world. Should be getting another session soon to start mixing and mastering, and it should have all the tracking done, so that should go pretty quickly for me. So this is kind of a special one-off of female guest vocals. He felt like this song called for some female accompaniment on the vocal, and so we made that happen. And so besides this song, back to some personal things. Stepdaughter's graduating today. I've quit my job of 11 years, the company I worked for the last 11 years, and going to a different company that pays better. They have higher standards, so they'll expect more from me for safety and all that, but I hope that goes well. It's quite a bit more in pay, and in this economy, I need it because, like many other people, I'm kind of drowning out here. So yeah, and I've been doing housework. I just replaced the floor upstairs in the living room, and life's busy. So I haven't been able to stream as frequently as I've wanted to. It's been over a month. So today I got a little bit of time to go ahead and stream, and I wanted to put this out there as a sneak peek, as I usually do on this channel. I'm going to be doing a review on the new Sony XM6s in the next couple weeks. I've already started to get to know them, and I have opinions on them. There's a lot of good, and there's some bad, in my opinion, on them. From a mixing perspective, I'm really fond of the XM2s for mixing. Plugged in and through an interface, and mixing through those has been pretty good over the years. I've got to know them very well. And the reason I bought the Neumann headphones, the closed back ones, is because I was looking online and the curves and measurements are really close, and surprisingly they are very similar, except for the Neumanns are just cleaner on the upper mids and the imaging's a little better, and I really like to check mixes on them, but they're not wireless and Bluetooth and noise canceling, so for my job they're not really ideal in the semi truck during the work week. They really don't isolate, even in passively they don't isolate like the XM2s did. The XM6s I got, they seem to isolate passively, no power on, no active noise canceling. That's what I mean by passive. They seem to do better in that regard. And initially, the highs and mids in the XM6s are more clean and actually more like the Newmans in that regard. However, the trade-off is because they have a smaller driver. They have a 30-millimeter driver. The XM2s had a 40-millimeter driver, and I believe these Newmans, what are they called? What's the model on them? I don't remember. ND something. I believe these Newmans have a 50-millimeter driver. Yeah, the NDH20 studio headphone by Newman. I believe their driver is a 50-millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. Anyhow, so on the Newmans, the low end and mids are overall better than the XM2. However, the passive isolation, surprisingly, is not as good as the consumer XM2 headphones, but they're very similar. And then talking about the XM6s, my initial, I've only been messing with them for a day and messing with the EQ and, in different scenarios, checking them out, put them in on, put some burn-in time on them through running Square and Synwave sweeps for 20 hours so far. They've burnt in somewhat. And anyhow, the XM6s, they seem to be a lot more like the Newmans in the upper mids. The highs are a little more pulled back and darker than the Newmans or the XM2s. And the low-end sub-bass, not the upper bass range, but the sub-bass, like 60 hertz and below so far, they seem to be, they're tight. They're tighter than the XM2, but they just don't have the oomph like the XM2 or the Newmans. Like they're just missing. I think Sony, I understand why they want the 30 millimeter because they're trying to increase that profit margin with a smaller driver. But I still feel that's why I skipped the XM5s. I've tried every pair after the XM2. I've tried the 3s and the 4s, and I've returned them both because the low mids on them were just absolutely muddy. And I just couldn't use them for mixing and listening to music and referencing mixes throughout the day as I drive and all that. So I've returned those, and when I did so, I just bought new XM2s because, the more the merrier, plus the XM2, after long use, had a issue with the inner ear cup mic for noise canceling, creating pops and clicks on occasion, and that eventually would turn into like a feedback, issue because it wasn't working correctly. I think moisture gets to them over time. Anyhow, I still have one pair that are pretty good that I'm able to use that survived out of the XM2s, but I knew the time was coming. They eventually pop and click and everything like that. And I have upgraded the ear pads on the XM2s, which made the low end even better. I mean, all around it made the sound of them even better. They were the Soul Wit, or I can't remember the name of the company, something like that. Cooling ear pads that are thicker and more comfortable. They're great ear pads. I'm hoping I can get some ear pads soon for the XM6s by that same company that adds a little more padding, and I believe that might help the low end situation with them a little bit too. But anyhow, so far the XM6s for mixing, I think, are going to be pretty good. On par with, I'd say slightly better for mids, which is the most important part of mixing, than the XM2s. I think the low end is going to be harder to judge mixing on them. But anyhow, I'm rambling. Hope everybody enjoyed the sneak peek I've shown you all today. And I'll go ahead and talk about this mix a little bit. Overall, it's, 180 some tracks, including buses, but and effect sends and all that. But on the pre-master, I started to implement this plugin here, which I really like. It's by AP Mastering. It's called the Reverser, which is a saturation plugin by design that is kind of like a clipper, but it really isn't. And I disagree with the AP mastering guy on this replacing a clipper, because I don't think he quite respects or understands the point of soft knee clipping, is where it's more about handling peaks, and then more than it is about distortion, it's about handling peaks with the knee, not really just smashing it. And with this plugin, it's a non-time based, like a clipper. It's non-time based, so there's no attack and release point. It's really simple, but it's like an infinite knee type of thing, where I see it as a way to bring up low-level information, and it's taking what's sin, or more of a sin wave, and turning it sin waves and turning it into more of a square wave, and without artifacts. And it doesn't have artifacts, which is really cool about it. I really have grown to like it, testing it out on bass and sub bass for like hip hop and stuff. It's really cool. I wish it had an auto gain function, so I don't have to put another plugin in just to compensate for the gain that is accumulated. I kind of drive it hard for bass, but I've started experimenting on this song on the mix bus by just a touch, like 0.320 of a dB. Seemed to just, I don't know, it just did a little glue thing that I really liked. So that was on in this example that I sent, and that goes into, you know, my pre-master bus here. That goes into the SPL, PQ, and mid-side mode, and then Pro Q after the fact to get rid of some harshness in the upper mids, boost the high a little bit back, compensate for what, you know, these two up here are doing. But anyhow, yeah, that Saturation Reverser by AP Mastering is a cool, unique plugin that is like a wave shaping type of form of saturation and distortion, and I like it subtly on you know, the mix bus or pre-master, whatever you want to call it. I do like it subtly on a mix. I mean very subtly. You can overdo it quick. And on bass, it is freaking golden. Like if you have something that's, you know, an 808 or like a sub bass, synth sub bass that is more sin wave driven. You don't want to, you know, make a square wave with it for tone shaping, but you want to have some square wave characteristics that you can have minute control of and bring up low level, you know, characteristics of that sub bass. I think this plugin's golden for that. But anyhow, more about the mix itself. I mean, there's just tracks upon tracks. A lot of them's not being used though. Maybe 20 or 25 of them's not being used in total. But yeah, it was a journey, man, and a lot of little details in this mix. So I hope people enjoy it. I hope it gets a good response. And I'm pretty much out of air here, so I'm gonna step off here, and I guess I'll see you guys next time, and maybe a month from now, before we release another song for Better Off Blind. I am working on some songs myself. I'm going to spend some time writing over the next couple weeks and getting back to my project, and then waiting for the arrival for the next mix for Better Off Blind, which should go pretty quickly. And I got to go through orientation and training for a new job to further my career. So this will be hit or miss for a while, but hope you guys still like and subscribe, and I hope to be a little bit more active as the year goes by. But you know, you got to do what's best for life in the moment. So I'm going to concentrate on the here and now and what's in front of me, and trying to secure my future a little better. So hope you all have a good